Hey guys, it's Andrea here from Crafter Support and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to share with you some information on infusible ink. So I've been getting a lot of questions about what you can put infusible ink on and what exactly infusible ink is. So to start, I'm just going to show you what Cricut offers. So infusible ink and sublimation are basically the same thing. The only difference is Cricut calls it infusible ink and you get pre-printed sheets with designs on them, or you can get the plain colors that Cricut offers. Sublimation is whenever you have a special printer that has special sublimation ink in it and you print it out on your own. So you can print pictures, you can print just about anything you want. Anything you can print off your printer, you can print onto a special paper and you can sublimate it onto polyester. So the important thing is whenever you're using infusible ink or sublimation is you need a high polyester count material to put it on. So I have some more videos up on that. If I can figure it out, I'll link them below down in the description box. But these are the Cricut sublimation baggies. So I'm making this for my daughter for when she starts school in the fall. And I'm just going to go over some things for you. So Cricut does sell the infusible ink for your regular size Cricuts. They also sell infusible ink pre-cut for your Joy mats. So we're going to be using the Joy today, my Cricut Joy, but I'm going to be using this design here. And it's just, but you can use this on any of your Cricut mats that you have. The other thing that Cricut offers are let me move this out of the way, are the infusible ink markers. So here are the markers and they're all labeled so you'll know that this is an infusible ink marker. And you can get all different colors, but when you're purchasing these, know that the bigger machines, so your Explorer Air 2, your Explorer 3, your Maker 3, they use these longer pens. Your Cricut Joy uses these smaller infusible ink pens, and they're labeled as well, but they are not the same size. So you wouldn't be able to use the regular ones in your Cricut Joy. So you have to make sure you have the right ones. They're shaped different, they're made a little different. And the Cricut Joy has their special ones. Or if you have any of the other machines, these are just like universal to the bigger machines, and you can use these. But other than that, it's a very simple. There's also other brands of sublimation ink. Let me pull this out for you. This is the Caesar sublimation markers, and you get all different colors. Now these are, I'll pull them out for you. I bought these a while back to show you guys, and I just haven't had time to do videos. So these are the Caesar brand, and these are just like all the pastels. I have not yet tried them in neither my Maker 3 or my Cricut Joy, but I may be trying these out soon. But remember, whenever you're using infusible ink, you have to flip it, so when you put it on your shirt or your bag or whatever it is you're making, you have to flip the image in Design Space. Now when you're using pens, and if you're trying, because you can freehand with these, you can just draw or color or whatever, but if you're making words or letters on a piece of the sublimation paper, you have to be able to flip that. So you're going to have to draw any words or write any words in reverse. So that's just something to think about. I'm actually going to go ahead and load these into here now that I have them out of the box, just because, like I said, I've had them for a while and I've never taken them out of the box. I'm going to have to check and maybe do a review for these, with these for you guys, because I don't know if they work in the Joy or not. So I'll have to check that out. But yeah, so we're not going to be working with these today. I just wanted to show you guys the difference of the sublimation markers and the infusible ink markers from Cricut. So we're going to set that aside. The other thing you need when you're doing using infusible ink or sublimation is heat resistant tape. This is not regular tape. This is the Cricut brand. I prefer this over, you'll see, like, I have some other brands. Not really sure where I have them at right now. Here. So we have like this goldish copper color one. I don't recommend this. It came with a pack of things I purchased, but I don't feel like it does the best. I don't know if it's because it's so thin or what, but I don't really recommend that. I do recommend the Cricut brand. I think it's wider and it works the best that I've found. Now, maybe let me know in the comments below if you use a wider brand of heat-resistant tape. If it's not Cricut, let me know what it is down below so we can share with everybody watching. Okay, now we have that. The next thing you're going to want to definitely have for infusible ink is a lint roller, because whatever you put onto this, whatever's on this when you put your design down, that's what's going to take the color. So say you have a little piece of lint right here and you lay your design on it. When you pull your color up and you brush that lint off, you're going to see a white spot. It's not going to be the color that it was. So you definitely want to lint roll your projects that you're making multiple times whenever you're creating with infusible ink or sublimation. The next thing is parchment or butcher paper. So Cricut has their own butcher paper. It comes in 15 sheets. It's specifically made for your infusible ink, again, sublimation. And this is something that you can buy butcher paper all on your own, like at the grocery store or Sam's Club or off Amazon. But I wanted to see like if the Cricut brand was any different, and it's not. It's the same butcher paper that you get at the store. So this is a convenient way to get it, but you would probably be saving money if you bought your own big roll of it through like Sam's Club or Costco or something like that. Okay, so the next thing is how your infusible ink is going to come. So it comes in this black tube, this black plastic that covers it, and you want to keep this because you want to protect the design on your infusible ink sheets. Now, you want to touch it as least as possible because the oils from your hands can smudge the ink, and you don't want to do that. So touching this as least as possible is the best. Your infusible ink also comes with some butcher paper mixed in it, so if you don't have a separate roll of butcher paper, that's fine too, but you want to keep this black plastic to put over your infusible ink sheets when you store them, because you want to keep them protected. Okay, so what sublimation and what infusible ink does is it's a chemical reaction basically. So the solid is the ink on the paper, and what it does is it skips the liquid state and turns directly into gas through heat and pressure, and that's what infuses the color or the design into your fabric. So it's just basically a really like scientific way of like putting something permanently on a project. And that's why it's so important to have the polyester, because the polyester is what's going to grab on and hold on to the color that you're putting on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk you through a project that I'm making today, and then we'll just go through all the steps. So the first thing I want to do is I want to unzip this, and I'll have links below. I am an affiliate for Cricut, but I don't like stress that you have to buy Cricut brand. There are Amazon brands that are good too that you can purchase, but I do put my affiliate links down below if you want to purchase from there, but do know that I do get a small commission from any sales through there. Now, here's the tag. I don't like this, that they put the tags in so long, so I'm going to cut the tag off. I don't need it there, and I feel like, and you'll see whenever we go through the process of the of the infusible ink, that if there's anything inside of this that has different pressure, so that tag would have left a mark whenever I pressed my design, and I don't want that. So I just cut the tag out and we'll work from there. So the next thing we're going to do, of course, is design our project, and then we're going to cut it out with our Cricut Joy, and then we'll jump to actually putting the design on our zipper bag. So these bags do come in threes. There's like a small, medium, and large. And I believe I said at the beginning, this one is for my daughter for school in the fall whenever she's going to the Bible Institute near our home. So I want to just make her a cute little bag to put in her backpack for that. So I'm going to put this aside. And like I said, I'm going to be using my Cricut Joy. And I'm going to pull my color out. I want to use this design because I thought it was super cute. And then I'm going to just make sure this is handled as little as possible. And then I'm going to stick it back down inside the bag. So make sure you don't have lotion or anything on your hands, or make sure your fingers aren't wet, because if you have lotion, that's going to cause it to have some issues as well. So just, you know, forcefully but gently keep the plastic for it. And I'm sure if you if the plastic gets too ruined, you could just wrap it in something and stick it right back down in the box to protect the color. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is cut to fit our mat. And I think I'm going to just cut it at 4.5 straight down. So if you don't have one of these cutters, I suggest you get any brand. I will put I don't know what that is. It looks like a seed or something. I will put this Cricut one down for you guys. If you follow me for any time, you know I prefer to use whatever brand I'm working with. So if I'm working with my Cricut products, I use my Cricut cutters. If I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers, I like to use my We Are Memory Keepers. I believe that every machine and every product is made to fit the brand itself. And I feel that that's where you get the best results, is by using the same brand for everything. So yeah, you'll see me use different cutters, different things like that. But this, I think, is, I really do like this trimmer. It works really well. So we're just going to cut that. I'm going to slide this over to here. So this is ready to go. And then I'm going to, these are the Cricut Joy mats. If you don't have a Cricut Joy, these are the mats that you can get with them. This is the 12 by 4.5. And when you cut your infusible ink, you put it like backing side down. You know how normally whenever you're cutting like heat transfer vinyl, like the HTV or the iron-on, you need to put it on upside down. You don't do that with the infusible ink. And I suggest having one of these brayers because they work really well for not having to touch your infusible ink very much with your hands and getting your oils on it. So now this is ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and get my Joy ready to go. It should be plugged in. I keep it right here on my desk. Yep, it's already on. All right, so I'm going to set this up and then we'll be right back. So I'm going to use my phone to get on my Cricut app, and I already have a design made, and I'm just going to make sure I have it the right size so I can cut it out. So now it's all sized and ready to go. Everything's attached, and we can click Make It. So now you're going to pick what mat you have it on. And sorry about that, my phone's dinging. I'm going to put mine on my 4.5 by 12 inch mat, and I'm going to confirm it. And then I want to make sure I come down here and put it on mirror, so that there it's flipping the image for me while it's cutting. Then I'm going to click next. It's going to show me how my design is going to cut. It also tells you, if you're an Access member, how much you saved with that design. And then you're going to click next. We're going to connect our Cricut Joy. And if it doesn't work for you, it might say go into your Bluetooth and pair it. And that's very simple. You just follow the steps of your phone. And then we're going to go to Infusible Ink transfer sheets. And now once your machine starts blinking, you'll know that you need to do something. That's what that means. Anytime your machine blinks, it means you have a step to take. So we're just going to load our mat, and it's going to pull it through to make sure that we have enough material. And it'll even tell you that on the screen, measuring material length. And then you're going to need to click go down here on your phone or on your computer, and this is when it's going to do all of the cutting. So while that's cutting, I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about how you're going to weed this. So when you're weeding the infusible ink, you need to crack it, you need to like bend it, and you'll hear these snaps and cracks and it sounds like it's tearing, but that's okay, that's what you want to hear, and that's how, it's not like weeding vinyl. You're weeding a thick paper with the ink on it, because right now it's in its solid state. And remember I said it's going to skip the liquid when we apply heat and pressure and turn directly into gas. So it is a little bit harder of a peel, but not anything terrible. And I'm going to pull out my weeding tool, although I don't use this a whole lot whenever I'm weeding infusible ink. I do use it for like the insides of letters and things like that, but I'm mainly going to use this to get started and then put it aside and use my hands to break and peel the infusible ink apart. So it's telling you how much time's left for cutting. And with the Cricut Joy, you need to click the unload button. And now we can just move all of our stuff back out of the way and put that we've completed and finished our project. And here's what we're working with. So I still recommend whenever you're peeling it that you bend your mat, not your infusible ink sheet. And we're going to put the cover back on this. Oh, I just had like a craft-a-lanch there. Okay, so we're gonna just put our cover back on our mat just to keep it safe and protected. And then I'm going to cut our infusible ink paper. So I'm going to look at the design. Again, you don't want to touch it too much, but I can see by the cracks that I can cut it right here. And we can save all that other infusible ink for another project. Okay, we're going to just move that. And remember, try not to touch it if you don't have to. And then I'm going to just get started on the edge. Okay, so I have my little edge started, and I'm just going to roll my paper. I'm just going to roll it like this and press on it as I go, like in the back. So I'm not trying to really touch the front as much, but I am trying to roll the back. You can take your little squeegee thing right there, and you can do that. And then you're just going to start peeling. You're going to start peeling all of the pieces out that you don't need. Okay, so we know we don't need the inside of the R. Sometimes it helps to go back and look at your design if you're not sure, but because this is words, I'm pretty sure we'll be okay. So again, we're just going to make sure we get the edges up, and sometimes I push too hard through it. Instead of just pushing the edge, I push through the whole, like the backing and everything. So sometimes you just gotta tear it. So the difference between infusible ink and sublimation is sublimation, you avoid all of the weeding, basically, when it comes, you know, the difference between sublimation and infusible ink. So if you don't like the weeding part, and you have the budget to get a sublimation printer and sublimation ink and sublimation paper, then that is a way that you can avoid the whole weeding part of it. I've done both. I had a sublimation printer. I'm planning on getting a new one, but mine I didn't use enough and it dried up, like the sublimation ink inside of it dried up, and it like ruined the lines of the ink. So it really wasn't worth it to me to have that particular sublimation printer. So whenever I purchase a new one, it will definitely be a different brand. So I had an Epson, but I converted it. It wasn't originally a sublimation printer, and that was probably the reason why it didn't work the way that other sublimation printers work, is because it should have. And I know some people have great success with that printer as a sublimation printer. I just didn't use mine enough with sublimation to justify, you know, printing on it every single day. I didn't need to do that with my business. I made a lot of vinyl things and not so much sublimation. So, okay, we have that piece done, and then we just have a few little pieces inside of the border that we need to pull out. And if you look at it, like if you bend it a little bit, you'll see the pieces you need to pull if you're not really sure. And here, and I think that's it. Yeah, so here it is. It's all ready to be pressed. And now we're going to prepare the bag to be sublimated on. So the first thing I need is a press. So I need something to put my design on. Now I have a Real-Like pressing mat that I purchased off Amazon. I liked it when I first got it. I thought it was like just as good quality as the Cricut brand one. But then after multiple uses, I realized I prefer my Cricut one now. So like I went back to my Cricut one after using this one for a little while because I realized this one actually did do a better job. But it's my preference. You may have this one and really like it over your Cricut one, and that's fine too. But what we need to do is protect our mats, because we don't want anything to get on our mat, because once you get transferred sublimation ink on anything other than polyester, it can bleed onto other fabrics. So we got to make sure that this mat is protected. So that's why I'm using this particular mat for sublimation, is I don't want to ruin my Cricut mat. So what I'm going to do is take the butcher paper, and I'm going to need a few pieces. Okay, here we go. So the first piece is going to be to protect this. So we're going to unroll it, and we're just going to put this over top of here. Now we need, our next piece that we need is to go inside of this so that there's no bleeding through to the back. And then you get a weighted piece that fits in here and that can go inside of this. So I'm going to pull a piece out, and I'm going to cut it about to size. Don't fold your butcher paper and stick it in here. Okay, because if you fold your butcher paper, wherever there's the fold line, like say you fold your butcher paper in half like this, so say you're like, oh, I'm going to fit it in this way just to save on cutting it, it's going to leave an extra mark where the folds touch. So here and here, you're going to see a line if your infusible ink goes on there. So you don't want to do that. You want to cut it down to size and fit it in that way. So I'm going to cut mine a little bit smaller than the actual size, because I know it's not going to reach to that. And like I said, this is just to protect your product. That's all. Oh, my doggy's like barking at something. Okay, let me see. Is that going to fit in well? Okay, so now we're going to tuck this in. and we're going to make sure that it's fitting in nicely and there's no wrinkles or anything like that. Wrinkles are bad. So we're going to press it down, make sure it's nice and flat. Okay, so this will be our next layer. So we have our pressing mat, our butcher paper to protect the mat, we have our item, we have the butcher paper inside the item to make sure that it doesn't bleed through and there's no wrinkles. So the next thing we need to do is plug in and heat our whatever we're using to press our design. Okay, so here's where it's important. You have to have the right setting, the right temperature, and the right amount of pressure in order to transfer the ink onto this. Whenever I'm making a project, we're going to go into a Cricut Heat Guide. So normally it pops up on my computer. I'm not really sure why it's not popping up on my phone, but maybe it's not an option on the phone. That's really weird because it should be. So maybe it's just my brain not like processing that today. So we're just going to go in and we're going to pull it up this way. So I'm going to go into here and type Google, and then I'm going to go into Cricut Heat app. We'll just do Cricut Heat Guide. There we go. All right, so here's the heat guide. And this is all you do when you get on the heat guide. So there, all I did was Google it. I Googled Cricut Heat Guide, and then it pulls it up. You just click on it and pull it up. It's going to ask you what machine you're using. So I am using the Cricut Easy Press Mini. So I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to select the heat transfer material. So I am using Infusible Ink transfer sheets because it gives you the option for your pens. I'm going to click on that, and then it says what's your base material. So this material is a cosmetic bag, but you can have like t-shirts and things like that. It'll offer you that, and then you're going to click apply, and it's going to tell you need it on high, so you need to set your Cricut mini press to high, so all three, and then it says it'll tell you exactly what you need to do. It says you need constant movement with firm pressure, and then slowly remove the liner when cold to touch. So it tells you need your butcher paper, your design face down, your cosmetic bag, you need white cardstock or something inside or 4 layers of butcher paper. I just do 1, it seems to be fine. Your Cricut pressing mat. So we have everything lined up exactly how it needs to be. So while this is heating up, we're going to go ahead and prep this. So the next thing I want to do is I want to really lint roll this because I do see stuff on it even though I've lint rolled it multiple times, and I want it to turn out really, really nice. So I'm going to press here. And guys, once you do this, you can wash this, and because this bag has been in my storage for quite a while, I see some marks on it. So once I do the infusible ink on it and things, I can wash it for her and it'll look brand new. So we're just going to use this one last time. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our design right where we want it. So I'm going to put it like right there. Oh, you know what I see? I see a piece that didn't get weeded out. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out now. There we go. All right, so I'm going to put it like right here. And I'm going to just take a look at it and make sure that I like that. Okay, there's that. Now it sticks pretty well to this, but I'm still going to use my heat transfer tape because I don't want it to move at all whenever I'm moving my press around. So we want to also be careful that we're not getting tape on the actual design itself, because that too will can leave marks, and you don't want any marks. So when people charge a little bit more for infusible ink or sublimation, it's because there's a lot of room for error whenever you're just pressing it. So that's why, like, I hear some people say, well, it's an easier process. You know, why do people charge more for that? I know whenever I sold it, people question that. They're like, I thought it was better, easier, and lasted longer and was better. Like, why does it cost more? Well, because there's so much more product you need to use to get it to turn out right. So there we have that set up, and now we need another piece of butcher paper over top. And so I'm going to put this over top. Okay, and now we're going to make sure that we don't put the heat over the zipper at all. So I'm actually going to bring this down and make sure we're just on the prayer part, or where it says pray, and then I'm going to start pressing. Now you can set the timer on your phone. You can do whatever you need to do to get your, to make sure that you're doing the 75 seconds that you need to do with constant movement, because this is a really high heat. I'm most likely just going to, I can't do it. I can't rub my belly and pat my head. That's all I'm saying. So this might take me a second. All right, I'm going to put it for 55 seconds. What in the world? Yeah, guys, I cannot do all those things. Okay, so we're going to click start. Okay, I think that was ready. That was fair enough. Well, that'll give us the 75 seconds. So we're just going to keep pressing and rubbing. It said firm pressure, so I am giving it a nice firm, whoops, I just shut it off. I am giving it a nice firm pressure, and I'm just going to keep moving it all around. And whenever you are pressing anything with, like for sublimation, even for vinyl, you notice it took a minute for this to get right back up to temperature, and it's because whenever you place it down onto this, it will lose some of the heat. So you just got to keep going and keep pressing. Now, if you were using a heat press, you would just press firmly down. So any other heat press, you would press firmly down and not move it. Okay. So that is ready. And now this is going to be super hot. Like, I will tell you that now. Also, look at your butcher paper. If there's any ink at all on it, pitch it, because you don't want that to transfer to your next design. But this is perfectly fine. There's nothing on it. I can reuse this butcher paper. Some people say absolutely don't do it. As long as you don't see any ink, you can do it. It's not a big deal. All right, so we're going to let this cool a little bit. It's pretty hot, but I'm impatient. So I'm going to use my, oh, I didn't get the top corner, and that's okay. If that happens, like I noticed I did not get the top corner right there, I'm going to put this back down and I'm going to press it longer. But if you peel it up, once you peel it up, I would not suggest trying to put the whole thing back down. But if you see a spot and you haven't like completely committed to taking all the whole design off, you can come back and repress. And because of that, I'm going to go back and forth on a lot of it. So normally, whenever I'm pressing a design that is with infusible ink, I normally do 60 seconds at 400 degrees. But because I don't have that press hooked up into this craft space, I have a different craft space with my bigger machine. And this is, so normally this would have taken perfectly. As long as you don't get your zipper inside of your heat press, you'll be fine. So we're just going to press on that and make sure that we got all of the pieces. So like I said, it's okay to go over it again. And give it that pressure. Because it's really important with infusible ink or sublimation that you're giving it the right heat, the right pressure for that chemical reaction to take place. Okay. Okay, again, I'm going to look. My paper, butcher paper is fine. And now I'm going to see how this looks. Oh, that's much better. That is so much better. Look how bright that is now. which I didn't talk about. Whenever you do sublimation or infusible ink, the paper is very dull, but once you add the heat and the pressure, it's very vibrant. Okay, I kind of want the P to be a little bit darker, but you know what? I think it'll be fine. No, I don't like that. I do want it to be darker. But look at me. I'm doing what I told you not to do. Can I line it back up? There. I'm going to press it one more time, guys, just because I want it to be perfect. Okay. I should have just got out my big heat press and just did it with that, because that would have made more sense. But I was trying to just stick to one area. So like the reason you shouldn't do this is because you can get ghosting. But I have to be difficult for myself. Okay. Still look at your butcher paper. It's clean. You're good. You can reuse that. And now I'm going to just be, however it is now is how it's going to be. That's what I'm deciding. Because it is extremely hot right now. Ooh, I'm glad I went back over it. Yes, I am. I'm very glad. Look how cute. Okay, now this is still going to have ink on it. Look, see where I didn't press it as hard? It still has color to it. And see where I pressed really hard? All of the colors nice and bright and vibrant. That's why you need the right amount of heat and pressure. So I'm not happy that it happened, but I'm glad that it's basically an example for you to see the difference. But it still turned out really cute. I know she's really going to like it. So now you're going to want to fold this up to get rid of it, because you can't reuse it, and you don't want this to transfer on anything else that you have on your workstation. So you could just fold it up and then go ahead and toss that away. Then you can pull your butcher paper out from the inside. This probably I wouldn't reuse, but there isn't ink on it, but I don't have another project that I need this size for. Maybe if I had a smaller project, I could cut it down if you're trying to save that way, but you don't have to keep this piece if you don't want to. And it is ready to go. So the last thing that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to run my lint roller over it one more time now that it's done, and just make sure there was nothing on there. And I don't see any mistakes or anything like that that like got picked up. So I'm pretty sure I had all the pieces rolled off of it prior to this, but look how cute. I'm so excited to give this to her. So yeah, so that is just the rundown of infusible ink / sublimation, of how it works. I do suggest using a full heat press to get the right amount of pressure and heat all at one time instead of having to go over it, because like I said, you can see the difference between where I just didn't give it enough pressure down here, but up here I gave it the perfect amount of pressure. So it really does matter. I've had, questions about, what does it like, I'm not very strong. Is it going to make it not work? It could make it look very dull and like kind of faded if you don't have the right amount of pressure versus when you have a lot of pressure. So, all right, I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, please comment down below. Also follow us on our Facebook page, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.